Hi everybody, welcome back to Tuesday Tips for Leaders of Volunteers. I'm your host, Dana Litwin of the Priceless Advice channel, and today doing 5 trends in 5 minutes that we'll see in 2024. If you want to review the trends I did for 2023 and see what I got right and what was off the mark, there's the video right there. But a couple of things from that list carry over into this one. Primarily, my number one trend for 2024 is more informal and volunteer-driven or community-driven volunteering, partnering with established orgs, so mutual aid groups and community partnerships. And that ties into the topic of care circles, which I've written about with my colleague Todd McMullen in Engage articles. And our third article in that series about how to do and set up and implement care circles is coming out in January. So watch for that at the Engage journal, which is a great thing to subscribe to. So more informal volunteering and volunteers' voices themselves driving how volunteering occurs within and outside of and alongside of organizations. That's my number one trend. Number two is also driven by a big player in the sector, Points of Light. Points of Light has been pivoting the last few years more towards corporate social responsibility and employee volunteering and more into that sector and less about actual leaders of volunteers and practitioners and volunteer engagement. And I think that trend's going to continue. There's more and more desire by employees of corporations and companies to do good in their community. So again, this kind of idea of multiple vectors of grassroots driven action is going to occur in the corporate and employee volunteering world as well. I'll put more details to some of those trends in the video description below. Number 3, I think we're going to continue to see labor shortages in the nonprofit sector because we're seeing them everywhere, and that includes shortages of volunteers and, quite frankly, people wanting to volunteer in different ways and be contacted and communicated with and recruited in different ways than has occurred before. And the labor shortages are due to a lot of factors. The economy, some people needing to work instead of volunteer with their time, but also the continuing impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, where we've had millions and millions of people pass away from COVID itself and COVID-related illnesses later on, like heart attacks and strokes, but also many more people are disabled by long COVID, and again, kind of that ripple effect of people needing to care for others in their family or friend group instead of being able to work themselves or take time to volunteer. So that's kind of a downer, but it's true, and I'm not going to shy away from that. But that also leads to what we're seeing, that there's an empowerment of workers and labor organizations, and we've seen the growth of nonprofit employees joining unions, creating unions, unionizing. There's been that in several parts of the sector. Again, I'll link to more articles and resources in the video description so you can deep dive into that as much as you want. But really the power of labor, both paid and volunteer, is really going to be a big factor in 2024 as I see it. And hopefully that leads to better working conditions and better pay and benefits for you all, leaders of volunteers, and also better working conditions and equity and accessibility and justice for volunteers and community members themselves in accessing the services provided by nonprofit and government agencies. And my final trend for 2024, which is on a lot of lists, including my dear friend Karen Knight had this on her trend list, so I'll link to that so you can check out her predictions and mine and see, kind of compare and contrast, is the increased use of what is marketed as AI. It's not actually artificial intelligence, it's more applied statistics, and I'm going to get into that in next week's Tuesday Tips videos for a much deeper examination of what we call AI. But automation in general and kind of machine learning leading to faster thinking on certain aspects of volunteer management software, donor software, kind of getting these automated tasks or shortcut types of features more and more commonly into the software that we use in the sector. So those are my 5 trends in 5 minutes for 2024. I hope you have smooth sailing into the new year, and please like this video if you enjoyed it, share it with your friends and colleagues, and subscribe if you're not yet in the Cool Kids Club of Priceless Advice, and we'll see you in the rest of 2024 and next week with more new Tuesday tips. Take care and Happy New Year.